Hi, my name is Sheyla Blackman, and I am your government contracting coach. I am so excited to be joining with you and sharing with you my experience in the federal market. I am going to teach you over the next few sessions how you can dominate the federal market and how you can sell your products and services in a way that will advance your company and will put you in a position where you would be able to live the lifestyle that you have always dreamed of and do it while you're also helping to grow the federal agencies and help them in delivering their mission and the services that they're responsible for. So if you're ready, let's go. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have been serving the federal government for over 30 years. I have worked as a consultant with some of the largest consulting companies in the world, and I now own my own consulting business where we provide IT services and solutions to the federal government. I have helped companies win in excess of $200 million in contracts. And I've got experience working with not just the political appointees, but with a large number of career federals. Now, why is it important for me to tell you that I have experience in selling to political appointees and career federals? Well, one of the things that makes you successful in the federal market is knowing who to sell your products and services to. And you have to know and understand that the political appointees are only there for a season. They're only there for at most 8 years, but usually somewhere around 2 to 3 years. But the career federals, they're there for their career. They've been around, they understand the market, they understand their agencies, they understand the needs, and they're the ones that you want to look to build relationships with. So as we continue to talk about working in the federal space and putting yourself and positioning yourself for the federal market, we'll talk more around who you should build relationships with and why you should build relationships with those individuals and how they will help you to grow your business. Now, there is a 5-step process that I teach all my clients in how to dominate the federal market. And the first thing that I will tell you is this: I will not teach you to go get certifications. There is a reason why certifications are not the first thing you need to focus on. There's so much more that you need to know in being able to dominate the federal market and win your first contract. And wasting your time getting certifications before you have what's called past performance does you no good. And yes, I did say wasting your time. The one thing that I tell all my clients is this: for some of the certifications, they're only good for a certain period of time. And if you spend your time getting those certifications before understanding how to really sell your products and services to the government, well, then you just wasted your time. So what are the 5 steps that I teach my clients in selling to the federal government and has helped them to dominate the government in their space? Well, the first thing I teach them is you have to establish the right mindset as a federal contractor. Then you have to build your business approach. The third step is to develop your sales strategy. Then you want to execute your capture process. And once you've done all of that, then you want to celebrate your wins. So as you can see, there's nowhere in there where I said, go get certified. There is a place where certification comes in, but we want to get you a few contracts under your belt first. Then we want you to go and get the certifications. So let's jump into each of these steps and exactly what you have to do within each of these steps. So the first one is establish your mindset. In this step, you want to get the mindset of a winning federal contractor. So as a federal contractor, one of the things that you have to be for a successful federal contractor, one of the things you have to do is you have to be a visionary. You have to be someone who has a vision for where you're taking your company and how you can help your clients meet their strategy and their vision for their agencies. You have to be able to talk more from a vision and a strategic standpoint more than a tactical standpoint. So depending on who you're talking to, which a lot of the people that you need to sell to, they are visionaries. They're the more strategic people. As you get into your delivery, you will be talking to more tactical people. But as the CEO, you want to always have a visionary mindset. You also want to be a strategic thinker. You've got to build a strategy for how you're going to grow your company. And you have to have a strategy for why you are pursuing specific agencies within the federal government. Not every agency is a good agency for you to pursue. They may do the kind of work that you sell. They may buy the kind of services that you sell, or they might buy the kind of products that you sell, but they may not have a lot of money that they spend. So you have to be strategic. You have to come up with a strategy for how you want to penetrate the federal market. You have to step responsibilities for your losses as well as your wins. You have to be able to humble yourself enough to say, we lost this, and move on. You have to understand why you lost it. You have to take the time to really look at what you did to determine why you may have had a loss. But you got to accept the responsibility and remain humble through the process. You have to be a decision maker. You have to be able to make decisions in a fairly rapid pace. You can't spend a long time looking at potential opportunities before you decide whether you're going to bid or not. You can't spend a whole lot of time to determining whether you're going to be a prime or a sub, how you're going to price the deal, because there's a set window of time that you will have to be able to respond to every opportunity. And once you win the work, you have to be decisive enough to bring the right people on, to be able to go and have the right conversations with the clients, and you have to be able to make decisions that will help your clients to make decisions. So you've got to have that right mindset before you even begin to look at the opportunities. And as the CEO, you have to be a delegator. You cannot be the one that is running the contracts, doing the business development, doing the pricing, getting the invoices paid. You have to be willing and able to delegate work to other members of your staff. And definitely when it comes to the delivery, you cannot be the guy that's out there selling and the guy that's out there delivering. You've got to be able to delegate things to other parts of your team, other parts of your company, to other team members, and you got to feel comfortable in who you've put into positions. That's where the decision making is really important, because you want to make sure you're bringing on individuals that you trust, that the clients can trust, and that you can delegate work to and not take it back and become that one that's responsible for the delivery of all things. Now, these are just a few things that you have to take into consideration as you begin to build out your federal practice and you begin to think about how you want to pursue the federal market. Now, with these things, after you've developed your mindset and you've got a good idea where you want to go, you have a good idea what agencies you want to pursue, you have a good idea of how you want to penetrate the market and make it a successful practice, then the next thing that you want to do is you want to build your business approach. So now that you've decided we are going to sell our services to the federal government, now let's build your business approach. And with building your business approach, the first thing you have to do is make sure you're eligible to win federal contracts. People forget about the fact that the federal government is run based on rules and regulations. And it may not seem like that's the case these days, but there are rules and regulations that we have to follow. And the first one is you got to be eligible. Now, what does eligibility mean? That means you have to make sure that you have gotten your company registered properly, that you have the right amount of insurance that's needed, that you have identified how you're going to get paid. So you've got your banking and all those things in place. So there's a number of things that you need to make sure you have. You've got to have a DUNS number. You've got to have an EIN. And so the first thing is making sure you're eligible. So before you even begin thinking about having a conversation with anyone, get eligible. Make yourself eligible. The next thing is you want to build a business plan. And your business plan needs to really talk about what parts of the government do you want to focus on. There is the civilian agencies, and there is DOD, and there's Intel. So what do you want to do? What are your products and services that you're selling, and where do you want to sell them? As a new company that's coming into the market, or even as an existing company in the market, you cannot tackle every agency. It's not possible. And so you want to come up with a business plan that will allow you to be able to manage a group of agencies that are buying your products and services, and you put together a plan, at least a 5-year plan, where you can see financially where you want to be, where you're looking to sell your products and services, and how you're going to sell your products and services. And that leads into the next one, which is your target market. What specific agencies are you going to be targeting for your services? As you're building out your business plan, you're going to put in your financial targets, you're going to put in some goals that you want to achieve, you're going to put in measures of how you're going to make sure that you have been successful, but you got to make sure you know what your target market is. As I said before, there are tons of agencies, but not everybody buys what you sell, and not everybody spends a lot of money on what you sell. So you got to do your homework and figure out what is the target market that you want to focus on before you even begin to go have conversations. Now, as you build out your target market and you're doing your research, what you also want to start to do is build out an opportunity pipeline. Now, for some reason, companies have this idea that you can come into the federal market and boom, I can win $1 million contract. Well, first of all, you can't even handle $1 million contract. Most people don't understand everything that comes with operating $1 million contract. So you want to build a pipeline that will allow you to easily grow and will put you in a position where you can win the work and you don't lose the work, that you're successful in your delivery, that you're meeting all the goals that you said that you would meet as part of your response to the government, and you can manage it internally within your company. So you build a pipeline of opportunities that are coming out in those agencies that fit within your target market. Once you've got your pipeline in place, then you can begin your capture process. And the capture process is where you will spend time learning about the agency, learning about the opportunities, learning about who's already there today, what are they delivering today, what are they looking for, what kinds of things can you bring to them, how will you differentiate yourself from other companies that are bidding on it, whether you want to prime a deal, whether you want to be a sub. There's a whole lot that goes into the capture process. And that's where you want to build a step-by-step plan for how you're going to go to market, how you're going to capture the opportunities that you are pursuing, how you're going to win those opportunities that you're pursuing. And then the last thing is before you ever look at and talk to any client is you want to build out your pricing. You want to make sure that you've got a pricing chart that clearly identifies all of the labor categories that you are going to be bidding on a majority of your contracts, and you've developed prices that are competitive prices. And so there's a little bit of time that you need to spend in really figuring out, well, what labor categories are right for me, what are my NAICS codes, and how do they align to my NAICS codes, and what's the industry standard. And you want to build a pricing chart that also makes sure that you are going to be profitable. So there's a lot of the financial things that you need to put in place long before you ever submit a proposal, long before you ever go and talk to a client. You want to make sure you're ready. So if you sit down and you have a conversation with a client and they say, hey, you know what, I like you, and so I want to give you a $50,000 contract, come in and give me this consulting. You want to be able to very quickly give them a response, have your pricing in place, have your labor categories, know what it is that you do. And you don't want to have to say, well, I don't know how much it's going to cost, or I don't have my labor rates, or any of those things. These are all steps of things that you have to do before you meet with that first potential client, before you meet with that first contracting officer, before you meet with anybody that could just at the moment, after you've done a great job of selling yourself, say, okay, I want to give you. You want to be ready to say, I'm ready to go. So you want to build your business approach. Now, once you've built your business approach, you have all these things defined, then you want to develop your sales strategy. And your sales strategy is where you are going to hit the market. This is now, you're ready, you got your pricing, you know who your target market is, you know what you're selling, you got your NAICS codes, you got labor categories, you got all your capture process, you got everything defined. Now, you're going to go into your sales mode. And this is where you're going to identify at least 3 agencies. You're just getting started in the federal market, so don't try to take on more than 3 agencies. Identify 3 agencies, and hopefully they can be places where you either know somebody that works there, you know somebody who's delivering services that are already there, you've got friends that may be vendors that are selling their products or services there, you've done your research and you see that they buy what you need. Somehow you want to pick agencies where you can easily get in and you can have a successful conversation that will turn into a conversation, go from a conversation to a contract. So you identify your 3 agencies, and you want to know as you start to build out that list of agencies you want to pursue, you want to know what do they sell? What are all their programs? Who runs the individual programs? Identify who are the decision makers, who's in the contracting shop, who's on the program side, who are project managers, who are going to be the people that you need to have conversations with when you go in to sell your products and services. You want to also be able to give the client an incentive to commit to you. You want to be able to, as you're building out your sales strategy, you want to start thinking about why would they want to buy from me? What kind of incentive can I give them? And let me make it clear to you, this is the federal government, so you cannot bribe them. I am not talking about a bribe, because I'm not trying to send anybody to jail. So no, we're not talking about how can I bribe them into doing X, Y, and Z. No, an incentive is how is it that I can sell my products and services at a price point that is value to them and will give them what they're looking for, but also give it to them at a more competitive price. So start thinking about what are some of the incentives that you can give to clients that will make them say, yes, I like your program. You want to be able to overcome any potential objectives. So you want to start thinking about what would be some of the things that will make a client say, no, I'm not interested. And that means you're going to have to really do some research and find out who's there today. What problems are they solving? What problems are they creating? How can I make sure that when I meet with the decision makers or those who may be a part of the decision process, how I can make sure that they don't say no to me? Know who your competition is. Again, that's one of the biggest things when it comes to sales is knowing who's already there or knowing who's coming in. So know who your competition is. Know who's already won work. Know how well they've delivered on the work. Know whether they are someone that the contractor or that the government constantly calls on. Make sure you have a good idea of who your competition is, because they may be your competition today, but tomorrow they may be your partner. So you want to understand who your competition is. Be careful what you say to whomever you speak to, whether it be someone that's in the government or whether it be another vendor. You want to make sure you're very careful what you say. You want to make sure you're very careful on what you commit. You want to make sure you're very careful on how you present yourself. So think about your conversations before you go into the conversations, especially do your homework on whoever it is you're going to go and speak with, and make sure that you are prepared for whatever questions they may ask. And if you don't know the answer to a question, say, I don't know, but I will get back to you. So be extremely careful with what you say and what promises you make. And more than anything, be yourself. What I have learned with working in the federal space and working with federal employees is that they just like you to be yourself. They don't want you to come in and be like someone else. They don't want you to act like someone else. They just want you to be yourself, because that's what they're going to be. They're not going to become somebody else when you sit down and have a conversation with them. They're going to be their same old self, and that's what they want from you. So be yourself. Be comfortable in yourself. Be comfortable in your knowledge. And if you're not ready, don't go in the meeting. Make sure you're prepared when you go in for any sales discussion. Sorry about that. So once you've gotten your business plan, you know who you're marketing to, you've got your sales strategy in place, you know how you're going to sell to them, you know what services and products you're going to sell to them, then you want to go into what's called the capture process. And in the capture process, because you've developed your sales strategy and you know what agencies you're going to go to, one of the things you have done is you've started to identify realistic opportunities. So now that you had conversations with decision makers, you've gone into agencies, you talk with other vendors, and you know where things are, you start to also learn what are some of the realistic opportunities that exist. Every agency posts what their opportunities are. They're free of charge. You don't really have to spend any money to pull them. But I'm not going to tell you that they're always easy to find. But they all have to post their opportunities for everyone to see. And there is a tool that is available for you to go into to find all the opportunities that are being posted by agencies. Now, it does not include every opportunity because some opportunities that are contract specific, like GSA opportunities, they are not going to be posted there. Why? Because everybody can't bid on them. So they will post them in places where only the vendors who have that contract can actually see them. But there are a number of opportunities that are posted that don't require you to have a GSA contract or some kind of IDIQ that you can pursue and you can win. So during your capture process, you want to identify realistic opportunities that work for your agent, work for your company and the products and services that you sell. You want to validate those opportunities, and validation could be calling the contracting officer, talking to someone within an agency, talking to another contractor. You want to do your due diligence to make sure those opportunities are valid and they're the right opportunities for your company. Then you want to develop your win strategy. And your win strategy has got to be based on, after you've done your research, you've done your homework, you know what the opportunities are, you know who you may be competing against. You want to sit down and really decide, how do we win this thing? And can we win this thing? And as part of developing your win strategy, it will include you building your team. At some point, you want to decide, and it could be for some, depending on how big the deal is, you may decide, I'm going to no bid it because it's too big of a deal. I need to be on a team with someone else, and you can't find the right partners. Or you may decide, I'm going to go after this, but there are some areas where I have weaknesses, and I need to have some team members to go in with me. I would never tell anybody to respond to an RFP, an RFI, anything that comes out as a solicitation by yourself. The government does not like seeing single companies bid on opportunities. They want the diversity of you having other companies bid with you. So if you're planning on going after a deal by yourself, really think about it. And unless you know for sure they're going to award the deal to you, I wouldn't go without having a team. Now, we talked about one of the things that you want to do in building your business approach is you want to develop your pricing strategy, your pricing approach, develop your labor categories and how they align to your NAICS codes and all those things. And so you want that because once you get into the capture process, you are going to be responding to RFPs and other opportunities where you're going to need to include pricing. And so as part of your capture process, and as you're doing your identification of the work that needs to be done and who you're going to be doing it with and who you're going to be doing it for, you want to also understand, what have they paid in the past? How have they paid for this work in the past? And you want to make sure as you're developing your pricing, you can stay in sync with what they paid and how they paid it in the past. Now you have to take into consideration what the requirements are, because you may have more requirements than what was delivered before, but you still want to use the pricing from before as a baseline for helping you to determine what your pricing would be as you bid on the work. And more than anything, as part of capture, you got to respond to the RFPs, the RFIs, the source of salt, everything that comes out. If you want to win, you got to respond. That does not mean you're going to win everything, but you got to start submitting enough responses so that you can start tracking your percentages of what you submitted versus what you won. And you can actually use that as a way to measure whether you're actually responding enough or not. But if you don't ever respond to an RFP or an RFI or an IDIQ, you will never win any work. So respond. That's key to your capture process. That's key to you becoming successful. That's key to you dominating the federal market. And what has been found is that companies who are really dominating the market in their company size or in their classification, Those are companies that when you look at how many opportunities they respond to within a fiscal year, it's quite a number of opportunities. And the ones who aren't doing that well are ones who just aren't responding. For whatever reason, they're not responding. But you've got to make sure that you've got your strategy, your sales strategy, your capture process, your pricing, your plan all well defined so that once you get into the mode of responding, you can continue to respond. You built your team, you continue to build your teams to be able to respond, to execute, to respond, to execute. That's very important. Once you've done your capture and you've responded, you've submitted your proposal, now you wait for a response from the government, and the government comes back and says, congratulations, we're going to award. Then the last thing you do is celebrate your win. You have done all the things you needed to do. You put your process in place. You've gone through and done the adequate pricing. You've given them a response that meets what their requirements were, and they feel comfortable that you can deliver and give them what they're looking for, and they award you the work. And so now, when they award you the work, you want to celebrate for a little bit, but then you got to prepare to go execute. And when you celebrate, don't get too happy because you got to go back to do what? Respond to more opportunities. And so as you go through the process, you want to continue to improve your processes. Wherever you think that there are some weaknesses or things that you have left off, you want to go back and reevaluate your capture process. Go back and reevaluate your sales strategy. You may even want to go back and reevaluate your business approach, because if you start to find that you aren't winning a lot, maybe you're bidding on the wrong things. If you find that you aren't even responding enough, maybe you're looking at the wrong agencies. If your products and services aren't being bought, maybe you need to look at your products and services. And so you celebrate your wins, but when you don't win, you want to do an investigation and you want to see, what is it that I need to do differently? What is it that I did not do well? We never call a loss a failure. We always just say that, well, that was just one way, that this just didn't work. When we look at it, we do our analysis and we figure out, what could I do differently? How do I learn from this loss? But more than anything, we want you to win, because when you win, you want it now. That's what we say, is you want it now. And so you work hard to get to that place where you've won. And so once you've done all of that, you celebrate. Now, what is something that keeps a lot of companies from being able to really get to the win? Is they get into their comfort zone. 98% of the population is in and has been in their comfort zone. Only 2% of the population are willing to step outside their comfort zone. And when you step outside of your comfort zone, you go for your dream. You're willing to explore new things. You walk in confidence. You're excited. You like change. You're living without limits. You choose happiness. You have fulfillment. There is abundance. And you are not afraid to embrace the unknown. The one thing I would tell anyone that wants to come into the federal market, if you like playing it safe, or if you're fearful, or you just like surviving, the federal market is not for you. If you're a procrastinator, the federal market is not for you. If you are living with regrets, the federal market is not for you. If you like settling for less, the federal market is not for you. For you to dominate, it's not for you to dominate. Let me say it differently. It's not for you to dominate the federal market. So what I tell my clients is, you got to get out your comfort zone, and you got to be willing to walk in confidence, embrace the unknown, like change, like exploring new things, choose happiness, and more than anything, you love going for your dreams. So those are 5 steps, 5 simple steps that you need to get started in the federal market. Now, there's so much more detail that goes into each one of those steps. And over the next few weeks, we're going to dive into each one of those steps, and we're going to talk about what are some of the things that you have to do, you need to know, that will help you to be successful in the federal market. And as I said in the beginning, we'll talk about where certifications fit in. We'll talk about when you need to get certifications. We'll talk about how you leverage your wins and how you organically grow the projects that you win. We'll talk about how you can position yourself to go from being a subcontractor to being a prime vendor. These are all things that you will learn over the next few sessions, and these are all things that are important to you being a successful federal government contractor. Well, I want to thank you for your time, and I really enjoyed sharing with you these high-level points, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you even more detail over the next few sessions that we will be spending together on dominating the federal market. Thank you and have a great evening.